So Shea Weber, who was honestly one of the most beloved Montreal Canadiens of the past, I would say, 6-7 years, along with Brendan Gallagher and Carey Price, has officially been shipped out, and I should say more, his contract has been shipped out to the Vegas Golden Knights in exchange for, who saw this one coming? Evgeny Dadonov. Okay, the daddy is going to be a Montreal Canadien for 1 year at $5.5 million. And there's a lot of salary retention. There's a lot of cap crunch going on here. This was a cap deal. That's why they did it. But there's a good chance that Dadonov, or however you pronounce it, ends up playing for the Montreal Canadiens next year, which, what a turn of events that would be. And Russians, they like it. They like Montreal. You look at guys like Kovalchuk, Alexander Semin back in the day, Radulov came and dipped his toe in the water in Montreal. So, I mean, it's not the first time a Russian has looked at Montreal and said, that's interesting. So we'll see how this one goes. And man, is that an interesting trade. But it got me thinking, what are the next moves for the Montreal Canadiens? Because there are so many trades that need to happen here, that are going to happen, and Ken Hughes just strikes me as such a smart hockey mind, and I don't want to say he's cutthroat, but he's pretty cutthroat. So, and in a good way, that's not an insult, in a good way, because he's willing to trade whoever in order to make the team better. It doesn't matter if you've been an amazing captain for this team and you gave your body to this organization. Bye. Okay, and I know a lot of people are going to say, well, it doesn't matter because Shea was never going to play another game in the league anyways, but this is a good thing, that Hughes is not like Bergevin, where he's not going to hold on to relics, okay, and let them die out as Montreal Canadiens and let the team suffer because of it. He's going to always make his team better. He's going to trade guys if it makes his team better, and there are some big chips that, if you ask me, I mean, I don't know if they're all going to get traded. I don't know if they're all going to get good assets from it. But the guys I'm going to mention in this video, for my money, they're gone. Okay, by the start of next season, especially since it's looking like a rebuild for the Montreal Canadiens, or at the very least a retool with kind of a changing of the guard here, I think these guys are gone. So let's jump right in the list, and let's start with the first one, which is the most obvious, Mr. Jeff Petry. Okay, so to me, for this one, I really think that Jeff Petry can get assets for him. I read the comments, and a lot of the comments in the previous video were saying, okay, look, you're not going to get a first-round pick for Jeff Petry for what he is right now. And I get that. And you know what? That's a pretty smart observation for a 34-year-old who's making $6.25 million for 3 more full seasons. But I know that the right-handed defense market is more saturated than it usually is. There's guys like Chris Letang. There's guys like Klingberg on the market there. But to me, this is always something that NHL GMs rave over and crave and wish upon a shooting star for, is big, mobile, offensive touch type defensemen who shoot right. Okay? That's always been near the top of NHL GM wish lists. And they have to be pretty stable defensively, which I know Jeff Petry last year, hey, we'll get to the attitude in a minute because that wasn't great. And I know that defensively last year he was I don't want to say a liability, I think that's too far, but there were times where his defensive play was like, Jeff, what are you doing, man? And as far as the attitude, it was not great, especially towards Ducharme there, towards the end of last season. I understand maybe you didn't like how he was deploying you didn't like his tactics, his style, whatever, the structure, but you're a professional. You're making so much money here, and you're one of the leaders of this team. You have to show a better attitude than that, Jeff. That was, for my money, unacceptable, what Petry did as far as his attitude. And he changed it when St. Louis came in, and I was hearing rumors about, Petry might have rescinded his trade request. Dude, the bridge has been burned. It's too late. And if you ask me, you're going to get assets for this guy. And again, a first-round pick, I admit that, yes, okay, that is stretching it a little bit. Okay, I do still think it could happen. But I do think that at the very least, Jeff Petry can net you some good assets, some things that are going to help your team in the future for years to come. So this guy absolutely, for my money right now, I'm going to take this stance, cannot be a Montreal Canadien at the start of next season. It cannot happen, okay? This guy needs to be moved by the time next October rolls around and the 2022-2023 Montreal Canadiens are starting to play. Next up on the list, similar to me, is Jonathan Drouin, okay? And this guy, he's been a project for the Montreal Canadiens for years, and we've talked about his personal struggles and how great of a guy he is off the ice, how great he is in the community. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that you're Québécois. It doesn't matter how great you are off the ice with the community. It doesn't matter that you gave $10 million to the Children's Hospital. They can cut you, okay? Buy if they see a better option or they see an opportunity to make their team better, and rightfully so. And Drouin, he's just not in the plans at 27 years old, okay? It's just not in the plans for him. Like, okay, if he was an offensive dynamo, if he was out there getting 65, 70 points a season, we're having a different discussion. Maybe you do still trade him. Look at Chicago. They're out here, they want to trade Alex DeBrincat, and it's most likely going to happen, who is, in my opinion, their second best player, and it's not close. And he's almost as good as Patrick Kane right now. But Drouin just isn't doing that. Career high with the Habs, 53 points, and career high in general, 53 points. He'll get you between 30 and 50 points. If you're lucky, he'll get 50. That's if he's having a really good year. And at the money he's making, which is a crispy $5.5 million for the next season, I mean, you have to look at trading this guy if you can, because I do still think he has value. I mean, if Sam Bennett, I know the contract situation, the age is very different, but if Sam Bennett can get somebody to take a chance on him, I'm not saying that Drouin is going to be like Bennett and have like a renaissance and be so much better, but I'm just saying if the Flames can get out from what Sam Bennett was and get what they got for him, which was a second-round pick and a prospect, then Drouin can be moved for assets. I'm convinced of it. I don't think you'll have to buy him out. We'll talk about this in the future more. I don't think you'll have to buy him out. I do think you get assets for him. I'm not saying like you're not going to get the second overall pick for the guy, but I do think you're going to get something that could help your team, something that Ken Hughes is going to look at and say, wow, this is better than letting him play his final year out of his contract and becoming a free agent and losing him for nothing. And last, but certainly not least, in my mind, this is the guy that gets you the biggest return, that makes Habs fans A, the saddest because he's beloved with the fan base, and B, the happiest because he's going to get you the biggest return and he's going to help you the most out of these three guys in the future for the Montreal Canadiens. And I know it's weird because he's only a couple years into a big long-term deal he signed with Marc Bergevin and the Habs, but Josh Anderson. Okay, Josh Anderson is not in the plans for the Montreal Canadiens unless this is a quick retool and by next year the Montreal Canadiens are going to be like contenders again, which I don't foresee. You gotta look at moving Josh Anderson, okay? Like, I know that Ken Hughes just mentioned a couple days ago that he's not actively shopping Anderson, and he's just taking calls on him and he'll listen to anything that makes his team better, but I do think that for a guy who makes 5.5, what's with Bergevin who's signing all these $5.5 million deals, man, until 2027, for a guy who is already 28 years old and who plays a speed power game that could get him injured quite a bit. He's inconsistent. He's way up and then he's way down. Okay? Like, this is a guy that I do think you seriously got to move because, okay, maybe Petry doesn't get you a first-round pick. Drouin definitely doesn't get you a first-round pick. Anderson can. He can get you another first-round pick and a good prospect. So, hey, depending on how much a team values him, this is the type of guy that GMs and coaches go nuts over in the playoffs. They want this type of guy in the playoffs. So I think he's going to get you a good return. We'll see what you think. I want to know who is getting moved first and value these guys for me. What do you think Petry's worth? Drouin, Anderson, what are these guys worth? Let me know in the comments down below. See you in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out.